my work does not really lean towards dovetailing these days, but I know how to do it, and I used to do it in the past when I was first learning about furniture making. I was, like a lot of people first learning, they're fascinated by joinery, dovetails, and things like that. Then I figured out how to do them, got decent at it, and then kind of failed to see a lot of real applications in building the kind of more refined furniture pieces that I wanted to be building. So, and I also found that people often wouldn't pay for them. So, a lot depends on the style of work you do, I reckon. But I'm going to show you how to cut dovetails with what I call the marvelous self-jigging bow saw, which is this. I haven't cut dovetails in a long time with this thing, or any dovetails at all for a long time. So I'm going to try cutting them in this offcut of oak, and I believe that this end is square. Yeah, it's square enough. All right, so this is the square end. Now, unlike a lot of folks, I cut the tails first, and the reason is because I think it's hard. I think it's easier. I think it's easier to mark the pins from the tails, for one, and I think it's easier I'm just kind of quickly marking out some tail positions. Using this Japanese mortise gauge. Alright, so that'll do. These aren't going to be totally evenly spaced, but that's not really important. I cut the tails first because if I cut the tails first, then I can the angles of the tail cuts. If there's minor variations, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't interfere with getting the pin cuts accurately. Because with the pin cuts, all I have to do is saw vertically. With tail cuts, you have to saw at an angle, and it's easy for the saw to wander. I'm not kidding about this, and this is why I use a bow saw, and this is why I cut the tails first. And I don't understand why people do it the other way. I mean, I do. They've been taught that way, but it just doesn't make sense to me. All right? I should note that I'm nothing like a professional woodworking teacher. So I'm like a real guy. Woodworking clients and for my own reasons. All right, this is the bow saw, and the angle is actually, the blade is actually at an angle. And this is traditional because it gets out of the way of the line of sight, and it follows your hand naturally. It works this way, ergonomically speaking, it works. And if you need to cut, for cutting straight up and down, you hold it like that. And a marvelous thing is, but you can also hold it like this, which puts the blade actually at an angle. So I use that angle and just focus on holding the bow saw vertical. So let's see if I'm still any good at this. I was pretty good at one point. And you can see, this saw, I made it myself out of scrap materials, and I got a butcher saw blade at the hardware store, which is, I guess, used for cutting up bones. And the teeth were I don't know, it's got about 9 or 11 teeth per inch, and I refiled the teeth to make them rib teeth, and I stoned off most of the set, and the blade is waxed, and it cuts a really nice curve. It doesn't wander the curve. Check the time on the video and the battery. I should note that all I have to do is get it straight across on the lines, and I have to hold the saw vertical. That's all I have to do. There's no fancy angles required. I don't have to invest $150 in a fancy Nielsen tenon saw either. Alright, now for the other side, I just flip the work. And you can see the curves. You can see they're pretty consistent. Alright? So just make sure the work is level. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in like 2 videos, and I will saw out the inside and do the chisel work, and then from there I'll show you how to mark out the tails from this and find another piece to make the tails out of. One thing you'll notice is that it's important to have consistent stance, in my opinion, and your body will memorize the stance and the way of holding the saw, and then everything is under control. So it's like turning your body into a machine or a jig. All right, there you go. There's the tail cuts.